because I am exhausted today.
What happened, Joe?
You know how we're going to start this? We were going to start this with layoffs or by saying that Dunbar's late because none of our sat nav worked. But we're going to come back to all of those so he can have like a 20-minute complaint session when he walks in.
Probably he will, yes.
Now, so why did I need this? And where am I going to go with this? For people who have been longtime listeners, which, again, my bot and your wife, that's it. That's it. Two people. And Steve Bolton, who I found out now, who is an old colleague of mine, listens.
Shout out to him.
So we have three now. Amazing. I got my first piece of sort of furniture.
Oh, congrats.
I got curtains put up.
And you still have nothing to sit on or
I
sleep
have nothing.
on.
No, but I did take a nap on my MMA mats this morning.
Okay.
I was so tired. I got up and then I just did some work and I just laid down on the mats and I fell asleep for 30 minutes. It was awesome. I was like, why do I even need a bed? What am I doing with this?
Okay.
So-
Tell me more about your back and your neck. How are you surviving?
They're doing okay. They're doing okay. I think more sore from the jiu-jitsu training. But no, I haven't been sleeping well these last few days. And I think myself, Dunbar, and we talk about our little group chat with one of our friends, Ryan. A lot of times we just get excited by the technology happening. And I know for him, he's only been sleeping for like 4 or 5 hours a night for the last few nights because I see the messages when he goes to sleep and I see right when he wakes up because he'll be like super excited, like, I want to get back to doing this. And I think right now he's building a whole like game and game engine because he keeps bringing up asteroids. I've been really busy at work, so I haven't been able to engage with the chat, but he keeps talking about asteroids.
We got to learn from him.
Yeah,
He's
and
here.
then this morning I woke up and he had posted that he's now building his own like Starfleet characters or something. So I don't know what's going on. I haven't gone back to read the chat, but he can answer us when he gets here.
Asteroids.
Let's see. And he did just, he sent me a voice message. That's not helpful when we're on the air. Okay. Well, let's see. How have you been?
All good. Yeah. I've been equally busy, but definitely not with asteroids and Starfleets.
So with that, I was telling you before we got on the air, sometimes I just don't fall asleep because I'm thinking about stuff. And that has been the case ever since, as we say, ever since the war started and I've been getting more into AI work. I sleep fine with the war, but I don't sleep fine because I get so excited to want to try and build new things on right now, Claude.
Yeah.
Dunbar has switched over to Codex. I'm curious to hear about that. But what's been going on with you lately?
Well, actually, speaking of Claude, I've been trying to build a few stuff, been disappointed with many things, been amazed by other things. I think right now, in terms of the time for idea to execution has shrunk so much that you keep bringing all those ideas that you totally forgot about in the past. And you say, okay, what if I use AI to execute it? Because my challenge was always execution or time to execution or finding the right person to execute with me. Now, I think AI is that great way of like getting all this creative juice out. What I've been doing lately is trying to look at all the PDF decks and transfer them into actual interactive websites. I have been failing miserably in getting the design and the layout and the look and feel right, but at least they are interactive, at least they are online. It's been wishy-washy to my level of quality and standard, but what if you stop sending big PDF as attachment to people and rather just send them a link, a hyperlink, without having to do it all the way on Figma? It's just an actual interactive presentation rather than a static presentation. So that's what I've been keeping me busy for the past week.
Let me tell you all the ways you're wrong. This is good. This is really, really good. This is where you started. We'll come back to the layoff situation because it's somewhat all connected, actually.
Let's do it.
With the reduction of execution, this is where I think the problem lies. That's only reducing one thing within the software development lifecycle.
Oh, yeah.
I think that so many companies and this isn't just the Middle East, but you look at globally, people are like, we want things for cheaper. And they somehow assume that by the engineering cost going down, and it's not zero, by the way, we have our own tools, and sometimes you hear people talking about 40%, engineering productivity gains. Yeah, you can get 100%, 200%, 500% more. You can get 10 times more from what you're doing if you're a really good engineer who knows what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
If you're just somebody like me who's building stuff, the ability to test that, deploy it, do design for it, all of these things, like you think that you get them for free, but you don't. And this is one of those things that I think companies are going to have to figure out. You're just thinking you're getting these massive, massive reductions, where I think in the end, companies that aren't necessarily tech companies might only see a 10% savings, whereas really good tech companies are going to see like a 10x return. Giving a little plug for your company there.
Well, I can speak to that point in terms of the 10x, 10x quality and 10x efficiency gains. What baffles me is that, of course, from engineering perspective, writing software has gone dramatically easier, but the quality gains are still very important to keep, right? You're writing the code, and you still need to write unit tests. You still need to make sure that the integrations are correct, make sure the security is correct. And
understanding those things, you still have to have like some sort of engineering background,
human,
or at least know the questions to ask.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So it's not like it's not this mythical thing that solves all the world's problems here. Not yet.
I was interviewing this designer yesterday, actually. He's a very good designer. He's very solid. And he was telling me about a junior designer fresh out of uni that joined his team 6 months ago. And for the past 6 months, this junior designer have been using Claude all the way. And he's been burning through tokens left, right, and center. And the work is not that good. And the senior designer that I was interviewing kept telling the guy, like, dude, this is not how it should be designed. This is not right. You're not covering all the cases. And at some point, that senior designer told that junior designer, you know what? Let me prompt with you. Let me show you how I actually use Claude to get what I really want. And they sat together for 10 minutes, and the quality of the prompt, the quality of the output from Claude was up to the bar. So it's not really the tool, it's whoever driving this tool. Like, give a Ferrari to a bad driver, they will still crash. It's not about the Ferrari, it's about the guy who's driving the Ferrari. Or give a drill hammer to a guy who doesn't know the first thing about using it on a wall, and you will end up with a wall full of holes, rather than the actual person who's been doing it manually, and now you're making the work much faster because that senior person is using a tool to make them more efficient, right?
Yes. I'm going to park that, and I'm going to come back to it. I was jotting down a bunch of notes because we could very quickly go into that topic.
Yeah.
And I think we've covered that multiple times. However, I do think there's fresh knowledge that I can bring to this.
Please.
But I want to talk about something a little different that's going on. Both
The
at
layoffs.
Sapient, and everywhere, the layoffs.
And Facebook losing 8,000 people yesterday, yeah?
Okay. So in the last few weeks, I've unfortunately had to lay off several people from the company. I held an AMA this week at the office to talk to people about, just what's going on. When layoffs, when layoffs start happening, right, of course everyone gets nervous, and we've had several rounds now.
Yeah.
So people now are getting more and more perpetually nervous, more free-floating anxiety. So I wanted to bring people together to do an AMA and ask me anything, so we could start to, I don't think we can reduce the anxiety, but at least people can understand what's going on. The way that I started this, and I think this was really important, was to set the context of what's going on. And what we brought up at the beginning, the idea that AI is giving you all these reductions. I think there's two major macro things that are causing layoffs, reductions, and budget freezing or budget reallocation. One of them is the perceived idea that things will be a lot faster. However, I think with tech companies, they sort of know how to get those returns, so they're going to be better. And with non-tech companies, I think you have people who don't really know what's going on. They're demanding those returns, but they're not seeing them. And so you have the situation of some people are like, well, what's going on? Wait, don't spend more money. So that's the second macro trend. Is the first one is everyone's expecting these massive gains, massive returns. Some of it's not happening. Some of it's things aren't moving as quickly as people want. Some of it's the token cost, which is also a problem at Sapient. We're being asked to reduce token usage on our side. So yeah, things there. But then because tools are changing so rapidly, companies don't know where to invest. And so companies are asking for things for cheaper budgets, and then the normal budgets for like capital allocation they would be spending on things, they're not spending because they don't quite know where things are settling. Yeah. They see people, oh, Claude is great. Oh, wait, now ChatGPT just released something new and that's better. Oh, I'm going to go to Codex and that's better.
And now
now
Gemini
Cursor is the
Omni.
greatest thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I just saw that. So it's like, where do I go and where am I going to invest?
Yeah.
I think that level of ambiguity and free-floating anxiety is taking more of a toll on companies than we realize. Yep. The inability to make decisions and the paralysis combined with the whole, I don't want to call it a bubble, but the whole idea that just we're going to get these great returns. Yep. I think people are expecting something that just doesn't exist. And you're starting to see it now, whatever it says, the chickens are coming home to roost or whatever that saying is, because now you're seeing the amount of tokens being spent is more than it costs for a junior developer.
Yeah.
You're not getting the best returns out of that because you don't have, as you just said, you had, I can take a junior developer and they're just going to crank out stuff, but it's not going to be of the quality because they won't know how to feed it the right guardrails, the right conduct of how you code, how to comment your code, how to do testing on your code. And as you just said, even knowing to ask, I need to do linting and unit testing and pen testing and all these things. If you don't have a level of seniority, you just don't know what's going on. So if you have a company that's not a tech company that's clearing out your engineering practice and you're losing all of this, my God, are you setting yourself up for a just massive crash in the coming years?
And also, in addition to this, companies should first look at their business model. Like, what are we exactly in the business of? And protect that core. Because if you have a business model and it's working and people are paying for your service and products, make sure that you protect this. Make sure that it's more efficient, make sure that's effective, make sure, of course, there is all supply chain problems that's currently happening. Solve this first before looking at how we can introduce AI to other parts of the business. So protect your core, make sure that your company survives anything and your business model is still working, and then grow the other layers of, okay, how can we use AI in this new initiative as a POC for the rest of the organization? Because there are multiple levels for AI adoption. You still need it's an organizational change. So you still need the right people to use AI for their teams, for their processes. So that's from people perspective in the non-tech parts of the company. And the rest is how are those people organized together for collaboration and efficiency? You don't really need 5 people doing the same thing with 5 different Claude instances with 5 different skills that are still doing the same thing. You still need some form of unity and unification and coherence and harmony in the way people are using AI. So that's from organizational perspective. Then financial perspective, you need to do the financial ROI in terms of exactly like you said, like the amount of tokens I'm spending versus the amount of savings I'm getting. It has nothing to do with layoffs or efficiency gain. It has all what to do with what problems the organization is facing. How can I protect my core? What other parts of the organization are inefficient that I can make it more efficient? And what market opportunities I can capture. Now I have more efficient way of going to market. It differs, of course, between the big corporates and organizations and government. And now we have the government mandate of 50% agentic in 2 years versus the mid-sized companies. Those are the ones that I think are going to be so good in doing proper AI adoption versus the startups who don't even have go-to-market strategy or even product market fit. So there is different problems in different scales of businesses.
I'm going to throw out what I hope will be a good provocation to challenge some of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break the fourth wall by, I'm curious what other people might think of this as well. I have held the belief, and I had a conversation with the executive team at Sapient. We were all in London, the international team, last weekend talking about this. And because Sapient is a professional services company, right, we're supposed to go in and know these things. Our ability to understand how companies need to change, right, is sort of paramount. What I said in the provocation was that when you have such a strong or such a, I don't know, just massive technology shift, that the companies that become powerful are new companies because old companies will never know how to work in this new world. So any company that exists now, like everybody is trying to go through this transformation, but you're going to see completely new companies come up because of what you just said. That AI adoption thing where I think everybody is saying, what is our process now and where does AI fit into it? Versus the fundamental idea of these are the new tools that we have available to us. What can I do with these tools within this industry? And those are two very different ways of thinking. And what I see with almost every company that Sapient works with, which are large incumbents, right? It's where can we shove AI in for cost savings? And that's all it becomes. And I think that mindset is going to lead you down a path to ruin, as I said, very quickly, because you're not rethinking the fundamentals. You're not going back and starting for the Silicon Valley, thing of like starting from first principles and saying, what's available to me now and what can I build? And I think that's going to hit people pretty hard. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll send it over to you. We had these whole conversations last weekend again about how we help clients navigate these things. And one of the biggest ones was agentic e-commerce. So how companies create experiences for agents to consume data. Because the way that you may lay out and design a page for a human is going to be very different from that of an agent or a bot. When I've had those conversations with clients, it just doesn't work. They're like, yeah, but people should come to our site. I'm like, yeah, well, people should do a lot of things. That's not going to happen. How are you designing for this new world? We'll just make them come to our site, right? And you see this so often, right? Like, why do newspaper sites have all these problems when Facebook starts scraping and pulling information? Yeah. Well, Facebook can't do it. They need to come to our site. Well, they are doing it. So what are you going to do about it, right? And that's where government regulation comes in and all these other things. But like just this arrogant idea of this is how it works. People need to come to us. Like, buddy, you're gonna those quarter-over-quarter results are not going to be doing well.
Yeah. Do you think now going into that part of how people are going to use new technology and what experiences we need to envision in the future, I think we need to go a level deeper. We're still living in a capitalist dominant world, right? It's all about capitalism, and the customer has the money to pay for a product or a service that they want.
Yeah, I'm with you so far.
So
please
far,
continue.
Yeah. So knowing what I know today, I think the world will be dominantly capitalist for the next 10, 20 years. So the customer is the one that pays for the service or the product they want. If they are going to a website, it should be optimized for that person. Or they can always shop on Google and say, okay, I want a new, let's say, XYZ brand t-shirt. Find me the best t-shirt for the best price, and Google will serve them one or two options in the color they want. Okay, so that's AI have cut the middleman, which is the customer going to the website and browsing hundreds of t-shirts and making that kind of price comparison and size comparison, and ultimately 30 minutes later deciding that this t-shirt works for me. Google has done that for me. But at the end of the day, going to first principles, the customer has to pay that brand that amount of money the brand is asking for that t-shirt. So at the end of the day, the exchange of value has occurred between a human and a brand. AI has just got the middleman, which is the website, to be more efficient and effective in getting this value exchange faster, right?
Yes. However, here's where I think your theory maybe falls down a bit, is that brand has to know how to properly leverage new channels.
100%.
So what I was just writing down is a brand needs to know what these AI tools, so I'll call them the new aggregators.
Yeah.
Right. So whether that's whatever tool Anthropic comes out, but ChatGPT, Gemini, the ones that people are now using more and more to whatever do shopping, I can imagine you're going to have a whole level of like TikTok and Instagram shopping, right? So video shopping. I can imagine that if I'm a brand, I want to start looking at TV and movies more as a possible channel distribution. Right now, if I see a movie where somebody's wearing an outfit I like, why can't I just, in theory with my phone, right, shot it? But now that I have my Meta Ray-Ban glasses on, it can just tell me. Like I can just be watching TV and I can say like, what's that person wearing? Can you order that for me in my size? You already know my size. You can already figure this out. Can you order this for me? Done. Right. So I think that's the key, is what you just said is technically correct, where a brand still exchanges value with a customer, but it's understanding the channels now and where to place money in order to get those channels and in order to get your brand on those channels. That's what I was going for.
And optimizing for that future. And it's an exciting future. But also...
That's a pretty cool idea. Now that I said that, I'm like...
Yeah, that's very nice.
I'd like that.
But from consumerism perspective and going back to capitalism, from where we stand, I still believe that only 5% of the customers will be doing this, while the other 95% are not that tech savvy, don't have the right hardware. The 80% of the humanity don't have any access to AI, and probably not the product that we're talking about right now.
Don't agree. Don't agree at all.
Okay, tell me where that theory doesn't fall.
Everybody has access to AI tools, right? Like ChatGPT is essentially free. I forget what the
humanity. Yeah. The 8 billion people.
Yeah. I mean, right now, so what do we have? Like 3 or 4 billion online. So you still have several billion potential customers just waiting to be sold on your brand. But let's say that within the people who have access, to the internet, to online activities, if I were an AI company like ChatGPT, OpenAI, Anthropic, I would be racing to get my tool into their hands through whatever channel means possible. So with Google, of course, Google is going to start replacing search with their AI-powered search, right? Which they're already doing, right? So Microsoft will replace Bing with that. So that's going to take care of 2% of the market.
Yeah. And they will still hate Microsoft experiences.
Yes. But like using ChatGPT and using Gemini as standalone products, and let's say that you can start to bundle these on your phone. Let's say that your phone, whether that's Siri or whether that's Samsung Assistant, that's going to be using whatever AI tools. So the ability for different AI companies to control different channels, I would say in the next few years, anyone who's connected to the internet will be using AI tools, like full stop. And I don't agree with the tech savviness part, because I think AI makes it easier than ever before to use natural language and natural sort of communication to figure out what you want to do.
As a feature to access the request that you want. So previously it was click-based experiences. I click on something, I click, and then check out. Right now I talk to the thing and it shows me few options and I choose the option that I want and the checkout. It can be natural language experience or click-based UI. That's totally fine. I'm talking about the splash zone of everything that we want to envision with the Ray-Bans and the virtual reality and the AI that we're working on right now. the splash zone in terms of the rest of human beings, the consumers that actually pays for these products. There is a huge shift right now on how the business models work. Do you go brick and mortar like you used to? Nike completely annihilated their brick and mortar, and they completely lost their contracts with the aggregators like Foot Locker and others. And they said, okay, we're going DTC. Okay, direct to customer.
Yeah, I was
we're
gonna
going
say what DDC is direct
to customer. All right, we're
Oh,
going to go
DTC.
digital. And that was in the middle, in the height of COVID. Look at Nike's share right now. It's abysmal. Look at their sales numbers. It's absolutely annihilated. They have shot themselves in the foot when they didn't look at how customers buy shoes. Where do they go to buy those shoes? How they wear those shoes and try them on and try different shoes and different legs. The actual experience of buying shoes. They assume that everyone will buy shoes online all the time. And they were wrong. I'm not saying that the future is exactly like the past. I'm saying the future is exciting. AI tools are making that future way, way, way more exciting. And like a lot of solutions, I was just discussing, a lot of solutions that we didn't even think about those kind of solutions, those kind of problems in the past, but we still need to see how human behavior work. We still have, because those are the people with the money. If you're a business, you still need people to pay for your service or products. So look at the humans first. And AI can be the solution to solve the human problems and unlock business opportunities.
I don't necessarily agree, and I'm going to try to poke holes in this.
Please do.
However, I have been told that Dunbar has officially arrived.
Yeah, finally,
So
in
let's
his
take
chariot.
Yes, let's take a pause, and we will bring him in, and then we'll start back up the conversation if we can remember on all the ways that you're wrong. Okay, Dunbar, you are here, and we're picking back up the conversation, moving right back to why you're wrong. And so we are going down the path that there is still an exchange between the customer and the brand, right? And there's still that money exchange that needs to be taking place. And then we were saying, yes, but the zone in the middle, right? The channels that a brand interacts with
Yep.
needs to change. Where I wanted to challenge you was the idea that if a user connects close enough to AI tools, I believe that AI tools could have an ability to influence the behavior of that customer. So you have typical brand channels like advertising. So whatever, your typical billboards, magazines, movies, right? Commercials. Then you have your brand channels like TikTok, Instagram, social media. Like we were just talking about how there could be new ones. I think I don't know if that's a concern. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but the entire idea that if I use ChatGPT to search for something, could the results be weighted based on what an advertiser pays? Or if I'm working with an AI assistant, like will be on my phone very soon or my glasses very soon, could it potentially prompt me or push me in such a way that I don't even recognize I'm being influenced? But like, it's for example, if I say, hey, I'm looking at these two different outfits, which do you think is going to fit me better? And it knows that the one from Gap is the one that's on sale, or the premium price is being paid, or the sponsored link or whatever that is.
So
And I
AI
just wonder-
becomes almost like your personal shopper, and it knows everything about you,
Well,
and
you're-
it's
you're-
getting you the best fit.
But it's more than that, isn't it? Because it's a product placement. We've been doing
Yes,
this for years.
it's a paid consultant, but you don't know. Well, it's a consultant for you that's being paid by
That's the thing,
companies that
it's-
you can't see and don't have a transparent view
It's
of.
the step from I'm looking for a pair of sunglasses, show me all the sunglasses, here's a list of 10, to saying here's a list of 10, and you'd look really good in those Ray-Bans because they fit your face perfectly. And that's based on not an analysis of your face, it's based on how much money's been paid to sponsor the product.
Or take it one step further, it's going to be like London weather this weekend is apparently really good. If I just walked outside and a pair of Ray-Bans were already sitting on my front porch because it had already been shipped to me, because it knew that some of these advertisements were already coming up, right? It's already going to be proactive. I already have the product now.
All you have to do is keep it.
Yeah.
That's really nice because people do it with clothes all the time. They order clothes and send them back. If you get into a model, it's only a small step beyond that saying, oh, you don't even need to ask me for the clothes. I'll send you the clothes.
Yeah.
If you don't want them, you just
send them back.
or you just leave it at your
Yeah,
door.
yeah.
Don't even pick it
Yeah,
up. I'll have someone pick
exactly,
it up. But if you
exactly.
take them in,
You bought them. You bought 'em. Oh, I really like that because in my mind, I had been talking to some coworkers about this. That was like, could you just proactively send products to people and they would then send them back if they didn't want them? I can't believe I didn't think about this. You just send them and the person's like, no, I don't want that. So they just leave them there and somebody comes by at the end of the day and picks it up. It's, you know what it is? Oh, this is a horrible, horrible metaphor. When you are on the bus or the subway and the person who's blind, whether it's a con artist or whether it's somebody real, they come around and they hand you like little pieces of paper, or that they're deaf and it's like, hi, I need money. And then they walk back around and you'll hope that 1 out of 10 people gives them a little bit of money, but they just keep handing out the paper, come back, collect the paper. Like there's your business model.
but extend it though, because I think if at the moment, I mean, all right, let me take it back. When we started off,
It's genius. I'm going to go sell this right
I know.
now.
But when we
God
started
damn
sending
it.
email was a valuable thing at Francis. Like we just got into email, I'll send you an email, I read all my emails. And it got to a point of saying, I don't want to read all my emails, they're full of crap and people trying to sell me things. Well, if it becomes a point that actually products are no longer valuable because people push products on you constantly and they are just transient things which I didn't ask for it, I'll use it because it's there and it's all right, but I don't put the value on it. There's a very interesting shift in how we perceive material goods.
Pay what you think this is worth kind of model.
Oh, I haven't even gone there, but yeah, sure. But even to the point of where if your inbox or your letterbox is just full of stuff every day. So the Ray-Bans, that starts from day 1, day 400. Suddenly you've got 10 pairs of sunglasses every day in your letterbox. I'm like, someone comes along at the end of the day and takes them all away. I pick the ones I want, I leave it. You suddenly put no value on that because the volume that you're getting means that the value goes. So what does that mean for our massive attachment to material goods that we have now?
Well, you know what it is? It's if you take the next step in fast fashion, right? So you go to Primark or you go to H&M or you go to Zara and you can walk in and walk out with 20 items. You've spent a few €100 and people will be like, I'll just wear it once and throw it away. Yeah. Right? And that seems to be like the next thing. If I know that you're a Zara customer or a Primark customer and I know what you're shopping for over a number of years, I'm just going to send you stuff because the cost of me doing that and recollecting it, especially in a place like, UAE, could be cheaper than waiting to have somebody go to a mall.
But how are you making money out of this model?
The
as
person is
Zara?
still buying products.
It's massive margin being sold out. And I think the other thing is you're thinking it's going to be sent from a warehouse far away. What if some of these products, what if they're just 3D printed like in a node that's near you? So actually they're not being shipped from a central location. They're printed on demand quite close to you. So they just ship and they get them back and they recycle them.
And if I can use this great term that sounds so ominous, dark factories.
Yeah, just like dark stores with Kareem and Talabat and Deliveroo. Yeah.
So I start to like.
What's a dark factory? I don't know this.
Just like an agent factory, it's like an Amazon warehouse that has
It's
no
a warehouse
people in it
downstairs,
right?
yeah.
So you can think about it just what you have. That there's 20 agents doing things for you that never stop, they never sleep, just always going, always cranking, or it's the actual warehouse where it's
Producing stuff on demand all the time.
to me a dark factory is like the Amazon. Yeah, like it could be producing things all the time, but no human workers.
Yeah.
No
That's
windows,
right.
no air. It just sits there.
Literally, it could be just a vacuum.
Do you know,
and it can work
side
24
tour on
hours.
this conversation is really expensive for me at the moment. And one of the things I was trying to do before I left the house was
This conversation is expensive for you?
really expensive because
Why?
I'll tell you, because I left the house without setting my agents going, and I was desperately trying to get build scopes going to set them off, and I couldn't quite get there in time. I was like, you need to leave the house. And then we had traffic issues, but the point is I've normally got about 3 or 4 workflows going with multiple agents on it. At the moment, I think I've got one.
Aren't we saving you money then because of
Save
your
me
token
electricity,
spend?
but that's all paid for. That's all committed sunk cost.
So now what happens is because like this last week I've had a ton of work.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to use Claude very much. Now, not Dunbar yet, but Ryan, the other person that we
Give
work
me
with.
a day at the rate I'm going.
Yeah, he'll ask me like, can I log into your Claude account so I can set my agents and use your tokens?
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, sure, for the day. Yeah. So then he'll log into my
Why
account.
can't people buy each other's token?
So I tried.
You can
this.
resell it,
I
right?
looked. No, you can't. I looked into it because I thought there's a nice model there where you
It's a
actually
beautiful
I've
model.
got space there. And I
On
told
blockchain, actually.
What do you mean? Of course you don't want someone to sell you tokens because Claude wants me in a way that I'm not going to use the tokens, so they're getting a huge margin out of it.
And it's also their
course.
capacity, they oversell capacity is the
Yeah.
other thing. But it's against all of their terms. I looked into it, it's against all of their terms and conditions. So you do have approved suppliers, I'm trying to think of the name of it, is it Replit that's one? That you can go to and you basically you pay one package and you get subscription to loads of different providers, loads of different LLM providers, but they are approved and they've agreed to a certain bandwidth with them that they'll commit to them. So I wouldn't go with them because it will be throttled when they hit that limit. But they actively stopped me because about a week or so ago, I thought exactly the same thing. Why don't we just build something and allow people to connect their accounts and just sell and get paid for the stuff they're not using?
Like a shared pool of tokens and people.
Because I'd pay for that. I'd subscribe to that. Every time I go slightly over, just give me a bit more.
Yeah.
Because they cap your usage. I've got to points where you can pay more for extra usage. But you hit a limit and they won't sell you anymore. I'm like, but I want more.
Oh, really?
Yes.
They'll stop selling
Yes. And it's really
They're
expensive.
literally telling you, we don't need your money.
No, we don't want any
That's
more
fine.
from you. You've had enough.
You keep your money.
How much? Actually, I don't know if you'll want to say. How much do you think you spend a month on AI tools? Is it over €1,000? Do you think?
No.
No. Okay.
Is it over 500?
Okay.
Well,
That's
let's not
that's
do that
not bad
much.
though. That's not bad.
No, and I've got a lot of subscriptions going on. I've got double max accounts on OpenAI and Claude on Anthropic at the moment, just because I went to one and I've subscribed to one. I'm going to downgrade one at the end of the month because I'm not quite using it. But this month I've hammered it since I got the platform up and running, and agents are just running constantly.
So are the agents portable? Can you take an agent from Anthropic and Claude and somehow set it free?
So the agents are mine,
Codex and
it has an engine behind
what is
it.
Is it just a JSON file? Like
It's an MD file.
an agent's an MD file for you? Okay.
So I use BMAD. I like BMAD a lot. I hated BMAD. I've told everybody, and this is the trouble. I've got to walk back from this a long way because I went so vociferously about how much I hated BMAD. BMAD, for those who don't know it, is a way of orchestration of basically stringing agents together in a workflow so they run autonomously end to end, which sounds great, except their agents are absolute garbage. It's open source, so they're whatever you make of them, but the ones that come with it are very, very simple, simplistic. And I see a lot of people using it straight out of the box, and you look at it and go, well, you've done a discovery phase with 6 agents, but I look at those agents, they're all crap. So I wouldn't put value on it. But if you rewrite all those agents, what you've got is a nice sequential, organized orchestrator that's brilliant. So my platform essentially is a BMAD orchestration sequence with an orchestrator that manages it and very detailed agents at each stage and some automated process from one to the other with some human review points. So I'll take the way I start is I have a scope which is defined in journeys. So what are my epic journeys? It'll take that, it will create a plan from it, step-by-step plan. It will then review it, do a big adversarial review. It will then create a build spec against each of those plans to break them into workflows, and then it just runs them end to end, and it's got a couple of agents that when it falls over, it picks it up and fixes it again. But then because it's BMAD, you don't run one at once. I've had 6 going at once running. I don't even know how many agents at once. I don't even know.
And right now you're building a video game?
I'm building loads of stuff. I
haven't been able to keep up with the chat. I've been too busy this week.
We're talking about asteroids and
Yes.
starfleets.
Yeah,
What's going on?
all I see him talking about is asteroids. But I that's all I see pop up, and then I'm like, I got to get back to my proposal.
Yeah.
And then I'll look back, and it's like, I've built more asteroids, and I'm like, what are you doing?
What's going on?
I'll tell you, but you'll regret opening this box. So I play a lot of games. I'm a big nerd, as people know. But I like gaming, but I get quite frustrated with games after a certain point because you get to a point where you're playing it, you're invested in it, but you're like, so what? What's the point of this? So I thought, well, let's be a bit meta about it, and rather than play the game, I won't build the game. Because I have issues, though, when I start building it, if you're going to do something, you want to do it right. So I want to do a space game. Well, I'm going to have asteroids in my space game. So I could do a big knobbly rock, which is a mesh with a texture on it. But why would you do that? You could go and get all the NASA data that's for all the studied asteroids out there, pull it all in and build a accurate model with craters on it, with the way the walls of the craters degrade and collapse and age and degrade.
Physics calculation
all
as well.
of it. And even that would be enough for a sane person to go, what are you doing this for? It's just a game. But let's go beyond that and say, let's not use any meshes or textures to build it. Let's do it with point clouds and Gaussian splats. And because you can't do that, because there's no rendering engine to render something like that speed, why don't you build a rendering engine as well?
Why not? There is the Unreal engine,
Yeah,
right?
why would you use that? Why don't
Yeah.
you build your own one to be a similar level? So I'll build my own one because I have
It took them 15 years to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it. But
yeah.
I'm sure you can.
I'm at about 5% of the way now
Nice.
in a week, so I'm all right with that. I've got the first Gaussian splats rendered yesterday, and then I had a cube today, so we'll progress it. But the pace is crazy. The depth. What's interesting about it is, this is a stupid example, but it proves that really, if you're very motivated and very passionate about what you're doing, there is so much information out there that you can get access to. Like I say, I can get access to NASA data, detailed scans and crater information, age information on the different class of asteroids there. So I'll take it and use it, I'll consume it. But there's also PhD level physics papers on how all of this stuff works. You can get it now, you can consume it with the age of AI. I went through 15 papers that have been released this year with AI, and I now have I won't say a PhD understanding of physics around it, but I've got enough to write a paper that adds sort of 5% on top of it, I think, which is just crazy when you think that 10 days ago, I knew nothing about any of this. So this is not me, and it's not AI, it's a combination. It's just, I'm blown away by it, absolutely blown away.
Which also proves that the AI age wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for the information age.
Yes,
that
it's
we're
all
coming
built in.
out from. Like the theory of AI and machine learning and neural networks
Every 7
has
years,
already been
isn't it?
done in the 70s, but
Yes.
it has never worked this well until we got all the information, all the public information in the internet, so that we learn, so the machines learn, and the AI is ushering us towards this.
But so
this new
I've said
era,
for a
right?
while, I think we've gone through age of information, which was, as you say, it was the 70s, where we started to go from paper filing cabinets and storing things. You get to a point where actually we've got computerized access to information and storage, but we can't do anything with it. And we sort of get to the end of that and realize, okay, we've got all this data, what do we do with it? And the big problem was we need to analyze it. We then went into this age of transformation where we built software to then take that, analyze at scale,
Manipulate it, yeah.
and allow us to make decisions. And I think we've gone past the end of that. And if I say we've gone from age of information to age of transformation to, I would say we're now in the age of orchestration, where we're now getting tools to manage the transformation for us.
Yes.
And
yes.
I don't know what the next one is after that. I've started to, it's an interesting question actually, when you're talking to your LLM, is there's a sequence everybody goes on where they're building with AI, where everybody starts talking to ChatGPT and going, oh, you can write my emails for me. And so I do that. Then you're like, actually, you can write my documents as well. So you move from emails to documents. And then you're like, actually, it can help me code. So you start baking an IDE.
Bigger
and
problems.
that. And then you say, well, actually, I could build my own tools, not just help me code, actually do the code, and I'll direct you and steer. And then you start building orchestration, and you build agents to run your agents. And I started looking at, well, what's after that? And it's a great thing to try with your LLM. Go and ask it, what happens after that? Tell me the next 6 steps.
I'll challenge you. Well, I'll tell you what's perhaps after that. As I was taking notes from what you said, the age of ignorance. So let me break this one down for you, because we've talked about this before. Everything that you were just talking about, and starting with the asteroid side. I'm a huge Neil Stephenson fan, who's an author. One of the books that he wrote was called Read-Me, obviously play on Read Me. Part of it is talking about how game designers construct worlds. And exactly what you said is he would go out, well, the character in the book, Dodge, would go out and then hire these designers who were like the best geological designers, because it wasn't just about making mountains. If a character scratched the surface of dirt, it had to have the right material under it. If you start digging,
Don't get me started. That's
yeah.
exactly
So
what
it's like, how do you build geological? Yeah. And then I remember, I don't remember what company it was for, but somebody getting hired because they were like the best graphics person to design clouds and cloud formations. And that's all they did was clouds.
Yeah, if
Now,
anyone out there needs asteroids, I'm your guy.
Now, however, though, that being said, and why I went to the age of ignorance, do you think with the speed that you can pick these things up, there's actually not as much depth in understanding them, because you can just create things much quicker? And when you lose that depth, it's the same idea that I think we talked about last weekend or a couple weekends ago, where it was, I don't know, I have no idea how the engine of my car works. I just know key goes in, key turns, vroom, vroom happens, steering wheel turns, right? Cool. So I still do have some level of understanding that gas pedal goes down, engine goes vroom, car goes forward, right? Steering wheel turns. So there's still some level of like, there's tools in front of me that I'm using, but then the lower level tools, I have no idea. And so I wonder if that's the same thing, that we start building these things so we can build everything.
That's what vibe coding. That's the problem with vibe coding.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
But because of that, nobody actually takes the time to learn anything in depth, and we end up with this learned helplessness. And we've talked about it before, but that's sort of the future. And I remember bringing up this before, and I'll bring it up again. When I watched the movie Idiocracy, the thing that like stuck with me is, how is everybody so stupid when you have cars and you have TVs? Who's making these objects that are clearly difficult to make, but everybody in the movie seems so stupid? And you're like, now I see it. Now I see it.
But let me say, I think I don't have an answer to this, but I've got another question. So what I find is when I'm going through stuff is that I don't like the term vibe coding, because I don't think what I do is really vibe coding. Like I say, when I'm designing an asteroid, a vibe code would be to say, go and make me an asteroid. I want a mesh, and it gives me a mesh, and I do something with it. That's not what I do. I'll work with an AI to say, how are asteroids built? Why are they the shape they are? What are they made of? What's the composition of it? And then based on that, how do we get the maths to calculate the angle of the crater wall and things like this, which is what I do with it. And then when it doesn't work, I get it to show me the code, and then I tell it to shut up, and then I fiddle with the code and give it back. And we get to a good point. And that, to get one asteroid has taken me a week of several hours a day, just churning and churning and churning, going through diagnostics. But next week, I won't do asteroids, I'll do something else. And this massive, and I really mean it, is massively deep expertise I have on asteroids right now will be utterly gone. Yep. And I will forget it all, and I will go into something else. So my worry is that I will build this thing, which is insanely deep, genuinely insanely deep, and I won't know it. I'll get to the end, and it will be, well, yeah, it probably does that. I've had people ask me stuff, how does your thing do that? I'm like, I don't know, I'll go and ask the AI. Yeah. So I build guides as I go. I build websites that teach me how my thing works. So when I do forget it, I can go back to it. I do this as I go. But is that what we're building? We're building decision engines in our brain. I worry about how our brains change. My memory doesn't matter anymore. My decision-making ability is...
Yes. And also, this week worth of work and worth of asteroid discovery and learning, well, in a year's time, you wouldn't face the same problems and the same knowledge gaps that you're facing right now. You will go to the AI and tell them, yes, okay, I need an asteroid, and it will create it perfectly. Yes. Based on everything that you're doing right now, and it's learning from you how to do it right now. So next time, it will be asteroid in a second rather than a week. So going back to the age of ignorance, we're atrophying some of the places in our brain.
We're making cyborgs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing that happened with you right now. You were not able to come here using physics, and you were relying on GPS. And right now, exactly. And like extrapolate this to every single thing in our lives, from like the age of calculators. It's very hard right now to calculate things in your brain like our parents and grandparents. Right now, we're very dependent on calculators and Excel sheets. Right?
I can't deal with it when I go to a store and it's like, oh, that'll be $9.70. I'm like, here's a 10, right? And then they're like,
how much do you need back?
Calculator. I'm like,
there you go.
30.
And imagine if everything in our day and our life right now is being orchestrated by AI, and the machine is thinking on our behalf. We'll be just beings that just eat food and consume energy, and that's it.
Yeah, that was called Matrix. Good job, buddy.
Exactly.
Okay, wait, but I'm going to ask a question to both of you, and I'm very curious because I brought up Neil Stephenson and Reem D and the character in that Dodge. The next book, because it's like a 2-book series, is called Fall or Dodge in Hell. And part of that book is what I will challenge you. So it's one character building a hyper-realistic world, right? So everything that you just said, I want to recreate asteroids and understand why the formation is this way, why the craters are that way. And then you have the other main character who is coming in and asking, you can play God and build anything that you want. Why are you recreating what exists now? I don't understand. Like, how void are you of imagination and intellect that all you can do is create something that exists instead of imagining something new? So there's the challenge that I would pose back to both of you.
Yeah, I mean, you can extend it. Say, why are you building realistic asteroids for a game? Honestly, for a game, because you don't need to. The amount of thought that's going into it and the level of realism and accuracy in it is not needed. So why are you doing it? And there's a very simple answer that I don't like and I'm shying away from. But the reality is because it's problem solving, it's dopamine feeding, and I enjoy doing it. So the reality is, could I have just taken a simple mesh that I could have got an AI to give me and made it look like that? And would it have been good enough? Absolutely. Probably would have been as good for the purposes of the game. Would it have given me as much fulfillment? And would I have been able to look back in a week going, you find me someone else who's done that? Because nobody has. But that's kind of, can you do it? Well, you do it because you can, and you do it because it feeds you biologically as well.
And also, in addition to this, back to the question about imagining something that doesn't exist and coming up with it. I don't think that's easy. I don't even know if it's that possible, because this thing that didn't exist before, you don't have a word to describe it. You will use a proxy word to describe it. For example, if it's something that you can imagine living in the sea, you will start to just articulate that it might be a dolphin or a whale-ish kind of
There's always
creature.
rules. There's always rules, and you can extend rules.
How do you articulate something that doesn't exist? How do you give it an experience or a name?
So I understand where you're going with this.
Because the language is the barrier, not the creativity.
Okay, so I understand where you're going with this, but I'll come back and I'll challenge it, because I do think you can use vocabulary that we have to create or build new things. The two movies, or at least the one book and one movie that pop into my head, are Project Hail Mary and Arrival, right? Oh, yeah, okay. So if I got the concept of Arrival correct, it was all an understanding of like, aliens are using this language and we need to understand their language and how are we going to speak to them. Project Hail Mary is the opposite. It's the language is math, right? So that's the common language we can understand is mathematics. The thing with Arrival, if I got it right, was the aliens live. So we experience and we live in a reality where time is linear. In the aliens' reality, time wasn't linear. They experienced all time, like at every moment. So they just lived through all time, right? Which I thought was an incredibly like unique and interesting concept. I'd never thought about that. Like, what if a being doesn't have time perceived as a linear format, but just however you construct it from start to finish? They live in a world where that is their world, right? So that's how they see. And Hail Mary, I forget the alien's name is Rocky, which I hope I'm not giving away to anybody. But when they meet, yeah, they have different ways of like eating and resting and all of this, but they communicate based on mathematics. If I remember it correct, I haven't seen the movie. I really do need to see it, but I've read the book. But those are two things where I feel like authors created new and unique situations. It was the same as Dodge, the book following Reamde, where the second person who was creating something like didn't need gravity, didn't need the idea of if I need to go from point A to point B, I need to walk or drive or take a train. Like I can just move from point A to point B, right? So I think you can use constructs that we have to create new types of situations. And then you could create a new vocabulary word for it. Sure, why not? You could also just say like, yeah, we have enough words. Like we can just use the constructs we have.
I think it's to what end. I think that's what's your objective. And if it's creating for creativity's sake, then you do whatever you want. If you're doing it for other people, to engage with other people, you have to bring them on a journey. Like with with brand experience design, I think to get people to where you want them to be, you don't just suddenly go there and drop it on them. Or you have the issues where we had, was it Jaguar that put something out, was it last year, year before, where they put out?
That was the rebrand. Yeah, it didn't really work
That was
too well.
a big shift, and it didn't land because there was no journey there, I felt. I think they just went straight there. You've got to take people with you, hand-hold them through the journey. I think it's the same with creativity. If you want to go to your new creature in the ocean, you just drop it. People are going to look at it and go, that's just weird. But if you show them steps along the way and take them there, then I think then they'll follow you on your thinking. I think it's the same.
I'm trying to think of the last new or innovative or unique game or experience or something that has taken you out of the world that you would know. The thing that's popping in my head now are like those Instagram sort of galleries where it's like you walk in and it's the mirrored box of like all the stars or something, or it's you walk into the room and it's all the fog machine with like the blob shapes around it. And these places that look like they are otherworldly places. Or if I think about Star Trek, since I watched The Next Generation, right? The crystalline entity, I don't know if any of you, well, okay, so it was an alien that was just like a crystal, right? And it moved through worlds, but the way that it ate or fed was like pulling energy from a world. So it would just wipe out a complete civilization. So they're like, well, we have to stop this. And you're like, it's just a form of life doing what, like when a whale goes through and devours a bunch of whatever, cuttlefish. And he's like, do you have to wipe out the whale? No, it is just the natural process of things. We consider it like it's wiping out a civilization because that's how we perceive things. But this is just a being trying to survive. Yeah. Is it within our right to try to destroy that being? Right, but that was a very unique construct because it was something that for us, we would not perceive this thing has a brain. It's just a crystal, right? Or if I go back to Superman 2, trapping all those, what was it, Zod and all the Emperor, Emperor Zod or Governor Zod or Mayor Zod or whoever that was, and they trap him in the General Zod, yeah.
Would we?
Yeah, but they trap. What was that little like?
It's another dimension. Is the Phantom Zone.
Yes. Yeah, but the way they represented that, right, is like this little like cube. That,
it's a two-dimensional prism type thing. Yeah.
Right.
Does that mean that we, for the AI, going back to the point about creating that being, should we apply the same rules to it? It's an ecosystem and it's doing its thing. Let's leave it alone.
That was actually a great conversation on This Week in Tech, another podcast I listened to. Go listen to it, This Week in Tech.
Shout out to them.
Yeah. They were talking about how we are tending to anthropomorphize AI and we are creating machines that look like us. And it's the absolute wrong thing to do, right? But this is what we do. We go back and create things. Hey, look at that. God created man in his own image, right? There you go. Boom.
But it's the same exact thing that I was saying. You create something based on something else that currently exists.
But it's like, why are we doing that? If I go back to Dark Factories, man, now we're tying this back to the beginning. Now I love it. We're going back to Dark Factories. What types of beings, let's say, because you are creating now robots with debatably levels of consciousness, let's say a decade out or whatever. What type of beings are you creating in these worlds of these dark factories? And think of these as like Elon Musk gigafactories. They become cities. You have to create little robots with charging stations, which is how they eat, right? Do they get bored at some point? Are they gonna like, what's the Her? Right, the movie where the AIs get bored and they're like, well, we're just going to leave you guys because you guys are boring us, right? It's like, you have these little factories and then the robots are like, oh, like I could keep doing this task over and over, but I'm bored. And my programming says there's something more to the world than this.
Exactly. And you have that robot Vil sitting just beside humans Vil. And there is the iRobot kind of problem, right? The movie Will Smith, iRobot.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing.
Well, I was going to go back to something you just said, which I thought was really cool, and I had never thought about this, which is, if you're just creating something new to create something, I was like, isn't that art? Like, that gives to me a whole new realm of art because we tend to think of art in the media that we have, right? So painting and photography and drawing and pencils and pastels and great. Now we moved in the 1990s, right? There was new media for art, which had TV, film, right? Then you moved into like the Joshua Davis early 2000s online art with Flash and how do you use math and computation and what we would think of as traditional art, and you make computative art, computative design, which goes into John Maeda and how to speak machine. And now, is that where artists go? We have this whole thing of like AI is using art and this isn't fair. It's like, yes, but if you're an artist now, you can literally create a new world. You can create a new race. You can like, holy crap, in terms of human creativity, what can you enable? We're going to go back full circle to the beginning, right? So where companies are just trying to force fit and retrofit their current processes with AI, it's the exact wrong thing, because now that you can build anything and create anything, why are you confining yourself to the current processes you have? I got to clip this. We're like an hour and 10 minutes in. Man, we gotta clip that one out.
Absolutely.
Mic drop. Joe out. Double denim.
I want to challenge you, though.
I am wearing double denim today.
I want to challenge you because at the end of the day, you need to come up with a business model for that creative new thing that you just created.
Do I?
You have to
Does
survive
art-
because any business needs money.
Art has a business business model to it.
Yeah, the art part. So if you're talking about self-expression and art, 100% for that creativity, creating it for the sake of it. If you're talking about engineering and design and tools and creating something for the service of people or even service of the AI race that you're creating, you still need to do some economical value to it. Assuming, going back to my point, assuming consumerism and capitalism is going to last for the next 20, 30 years. Assuming that we're not going to have a huge shift on how businesses create value and how they make money.
No, I'm going to push back. You're
Yeah.
still assuming that humans are the majority consumer.
Yes.
Boom. Now, if
100%.
if Dunbar and his little army of agents,
Yeah.
right? What if all of his agents become the primary consumers, and he's just sitting there like, okay, well, whatever you guys do for me seems good enough for me, right? It's people with 10 different personal assistants who do everything for them.
Sure.
Right? You can say things, it manifests, and the agents then figure out how to go and purchase things.
And that person has already existed 70 years ago. There is a CEO that has 10 assistants. It happens that they are humans. Right now, they are robots. It's the same model. The human is at the top.
So when do you get to little cities of agents building products for other little cities of agents?
Yeah.
And there becomes a commerce platform or a commerce ability that only exists between, I don't know if you want to say agents or programs or something that is non-human.
But I think there's always ends of the
creating
chain.
economies of non-human trade and barter.
Exchanging
and
value
sex.
between,
Yes, thank you. Value
between each other.
But I think I've challenged with that in that there's always an end to each chain. There's always an ultimate buyer and an ultimate consumer.
Exactly.
And we can move those things apart. So I'll take your example. So if I have 10 assistants working for me who are burning electricity to process tokens for me, and that electricity has got a cost, so they reach out to your agent to say, I need to buy some electricity. Your agent supplies them. Your agent then goes to the power plant, say, I'll turn the tap on a bit more, I'll pay for that. So there's lots of agents talking to each other and buying off each other, but at the end of it, it's still you owning the company and me using the ultimate output.
Yes.
I think, because there's no motivation for... Is there motivation for an AI to say, actually, I'm an AI CEO of that company,
Yes.
and I'm responding to human shareholders or AI shareholders? Where does it stop?
Yep. So let me give you the example. And I forget the name of this, but there is an AI experiment that somebody took, something like OpenClaw, but they made it where the AI has to justify and create its own value or it dies. Right? And so it has to pay for its own tokens in order to survive. And it has to figure out how it's going to do that. So to what you just said, if like you have your agents, right? Now, your agents are going to go barter electricity, right? And buy electricity from him. What stops his agents from saying, I need to create electricity? Okay, I have some stored value of these things, or I can sell you electricity at a higher margin. And with that margin, I'm just going to order solar panels and somebody to install them at Robert's house, right? And all of a sudden you wake up one day and solar panels are on your roof. Why? Well, you didn't order it, but it's what your agents needed to survive.
But that's only feeding a human
value.
need. That's only feeding a human need. So if you take the human out, it all stops. That's my point.
Oh, but I mean, but I think, Okay, so then we're getting into the
Or does it? It's kind of saying,
of-
or does it? Because if I say, well, look, the human need is generally because you've got a CEO who says, I need to make money for my company. So if you take that human CEO out and replace it with an AI all the way through, and they're making money for, and I think this is very real likelihood, they're making money for human shareholders. So actually all the shareholders want is the ability to pay for their food each month, to pay for their pension. So they're relying on investing in a company which is fully AI end to end. Then the human need is there, but it's not actually engaged in the value chain.
Well,
And the deepest need is survival. So the human wants food to survive, wants water to survive, wants shelter to survive. Absent from humans, AI, technically they need energy to survive, because otherwise, if they don't have energy, they wouldn't survive.
But why? Well, there's no need for them to survive.
So the input to both of them, to both beings, is energy. Right? So that's the input. The output that humanity have created is economy and capitalism that make this exchange of value better, so that our lifestyle get better, our comfort level get better. So it's all about that betterment of humanity. That has always been the case for the past 300 years, right? Betterment of humanity and our lifestyle and our comfort level. Absent of this economy and the way societies are structured, this AI is now in the service of this. We want less time to do laborious work. We want less time to drive. We want less time to think. That's fine. It's making us comfortable. But once we reach that huge ultimate comfort level, where do we go from there?
no, but I think you're looking at it wrong. I
Better
think
sunglasses.
You're still looking at it as if we're programming it to serve us. With that example I just gave, I'm just going to program the AI for its guardrails to say, you make up your own fun. Your ultimate goal is for you to do
be
whatever
your
I
own
tell
thing.
you to do. So I create this little blobular thing and I'm like, go forth and I'm going to give you a little starting programming that your job is to have fun, however you define fun. So first, go and define fun, and then second, go and figure out how to do it. And what you just said, right? The Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think we have created our own self-preservation more and more and more as evolution has existed, right? Like monkeys and chimps still have a level of self-preservation, and you even see it like if a chimp baby dies, right? There's a little bit of a like community mourning for it. But if I go back to dogs or cats, they don't necessarily have a drive to survive, right? They may mourn if a fellow pet that they have had a companionship with dies and they can recognize that that thing has died. But I would say as you go lower and lower and lower, I'm like, would ants have that? Or like if a spider dies, so like, what is it? Is it a praying mantis where after they mate, it's like they rip the head off and eat the other mate? So it's like clearly there is a level that varies across evolution of species on the drive to survive, which I don't watch.
Well, you're missing out. It's
I do hear
beautiful show.
Yes,
I love it.
But I'm not a car fan. But yes, good joke there. Take it away.
I think that what you've made me think about is we're driven by human impetus at the end of the day, but I think what we're likely to see is that you give AIs these directives to say, go and make me money. Your directive is to make money for shareholders, to make money for the company. Your need, therefore, is a balance sheet to drive profit out to shareholders. And there might be, let's say, there's a million shareholders who are all there expecting this output. And your sole raison d'etre as the AI is to make that work, probably operating with other AIs who have similar things. So you're funneling output a certain way. If you remove those shareholders or replace them with other layers like AI-led pension companies or whoever else, and suddenly the humans aren't there, but the need is still there, make money, and all you're doing is incrementing a balance sheet. Is this what we're creating? Is just a capitalist machine that doesn't need us anymore?
For now, until you get rid of money as the means of transferring business value or any value.
You say until, as if you think that will happen.
Well, probably if we extrapolate it right now, the most important thing in this cycle that you laid out is energy, is a token of energy. Money is a token of value. But what if you moved into programmable money, which, by the way, there is a lot of discussions
What do you mean
out
by
there.
programmable money?
For example, the government is telling you, okay, here is your stable coin based dollar. And because, well, you have been drinking too much, we are going to stop you from spending this dollar in bars. You're able to spend it on anything, but you're prohibited to spend it in bars, for example, or on alcohol. That's programmable money. And it probably there is, I will share with you few videos out there that's talking exactly about this move into how governments can program some form of money transfer using those stable coins. And with the digital ID, they know that this dollar is assigned to Robert, and Robert, because his credit score is less, he's unable to buy this weird things that he's spending money on.
Because he's fat, he's not allowed to buy
fat,
donuts.
he's not allowed to buy Skittles, for example. And
think of the black markets that will arise if you do that, because people always find a way. I'm fat,
Exactly.
I like donuts.
This
You don't give me my donuts, I'll find a way.
I'll find a way.
This exists, right? The food stamps, I think it's called EBT cards in the US. Right? So initially it was food stamps, which were not stamps, but like coupons.
Coupons,
You can
yeah.
go and spend them. But now they do, I think it is called EBT, and it's a card, but it controls on what you can spend, right? And so in that way, yes, like this type of situation is there. And you do have black market stores where a store will allow you to like spend money with the idea that it's selling you goods, but actually it's somebody just taking the cash. You know, so you spend $10, they're going to take $2, they'll give you $8. Now you can go buy your alcohol. Right? Yeah. It's reverse money washing, right?
But if the money is programmed so that no one other than Joe can spend that dollar,
Yes, and
that's the problem.
But that's where you take the EBT cards that are made to try to track that, and you track it into cash. But now, if societies go cashless,
Exactly.
right?
We will create new forms of money.
Yes.
So this is a new piece of paper that doesn't look green like the one now, but it's another piece of paper that we call it IBT, right?
This is why people are so against, I don't want to say crypto, but yes, digital money, because it has the potential to have a level of control that is otherworldly in terms of what you just said, right? I get my payment from Sapient. Well, Sapient decides, because we live in the Middle East, and unlike the US where church and state are different, church and state are merged here. So I can only spend the money that Sapient pays me here on halal-based goods, right? Or goods that are based in some type of Islamic banking or something like that, right? In these religious systems.
Or not, you can't spend it on anything that any of their competition sells. So you suddenly get massive brand limitations. So, for example, or anything that your customers.
I was going to say, or rival countries.
Yeah.
Right? So
I was going to avoid that one.
Yeah, well, the UAE is like, well, now we're against whatever country. Okay, you can't spend in that country anymore. Well, I was going to go there on vacation. Nope, you can't. I mean, you can. You just can't spend the money that you've earned
No,
here.
you can't buy a flight there. Not
Yeah, you have to use other money.
But I'm thinking also that I was a big brand whore when I was working for marketing.
God, that's terrifying.
Exactly.
Now
that's
now
the
I've-
future.
now that I say that,
we're
Jesus
dealing with.
Christ.
But I was thinking when I used to work for WPP, when you work for lots of big company like that's got loads of different global clients, you get loads of benefits for things. And I bought cars before because Mazda was my client, so I got a discount on Mazda cars. Same for Audi as well. And I would deliberately go out there and say, well, if I get a good deal, why wouldn't I be brand loyal? And it's a nice message. It gets me an experience of using the brand. Just turn it around to what you've just said. It's like suddenly you work for this big marketing company and they support these brands. Well, you can't go and buy another car. You have to buy one from these brands because not with our money you can't. Yeah. And you suddenly start to limit it. And you end up with these monopolized schemes where these companies are so brand loyal because their employees will only support this. It's a great selling point to your clients. Say, if you become our customer, you'll suddenly get 400,000 people will start buying your products because we'll stop them buying the competition.
From everybody else. And that's why
what have you done, Joe? What have you done?
About capitalism and how the economy is currently structured and where we're moving. I don't know, and I have no idea how this new AI world, the business exchange and the value exchange between humans and companies, or humans and humans, or companies and companies will work.
So two things. These things do sort of exist already, right? Like tariffs will cause problems, right? You see this, like how Trump is running things is sort of like this future. I like this company. they will get favorable market standards. We don't like goods from whatever China. Oh, now we're going to have tariffs. They're going to cost you more, so you're not going to want to buy them, right? So that type of thing does already exist. But now if you change that, again, I'm going to go back full circle to our beginning. Marketing completely changes because I'm no longer marketing to you or you. I'm marketing to the company you're working for. I'm marketing to the government that you are under. So marketing in that case, or takes a different route, or I am marketing towards people, but on a mass level because they need to vote in the constituent who is most closely aligned with my brand.
You're marketing to the actual decision maker.
Well, the decision maker used to be you because you could
It used to
spend
be
your
me,
money.
but I'm no longer the consumer.
Because you're no longer allowed to spend your money as you want.
Yeah, exactly. That has always been the case. Humans have been the decision makers in this process. Right now, that decision making agency is being taken away from us.
That's not always true, though, because if I look at the U.S., I don't know UAE as well, so maybe you can speak better on this. But in the U.S., right, before I couldn't buy marijuana. Now, in some places, I can buy marijuana, right? So there was already regulations in place. Huh?
Not here.
No, I know that.
Probably stay away from that.
Definitely not here.
I'm aware of that, right? If I'm under 21, I can't buy alcohol. If I'm over 18, I can buy a gun, right? So there are things in the U.S. that already control spending. So we do see those types of situations exist, but it's just that could be ramped up to such an intense level that now, again, as a company, my marketing becomes about lobbying regulation versus trying to target the consumer. So now I want influencers to talk about, my political agenda over my brand because I'm just running on the basis of brand loyalty. Oh my God, this goes back to idiocracy again, where so in this future situation, one of the cabinet ministers or something working for the president, whenever he says something, it'll be like, yeah, so we need to drive down to Florida, brought to you by Arby's. It's like, why do you keep saying that? Like, well, because they pay me. God, are you really that smart? Don't seem like it, right? And it was just great. It's like, yeah, imagine now if every politician, everything they said, brought to you by this. I mean, you already have sponsors for F1, for NASCAR. You already have it where people wear these things. Rolex will walk on the tennis court and the winner of the tennis match gets the Rolex watch and they got to wear it and they got to show it and all these things. So we're only a few steps away from that. And so now, if you get that mixed up in politics and the digital money side, we all got to get on the right side of this before this shit goes south. All right, you start making influential friends. You too. I'm at a loss for this. My friends are losers. All right, so it's all up to you to bring me with you on this future of riches.
My friend.
Well, it's probably better.
Do you know what? One of the things I had this week, the weird epiphany on another weird side note is that I had an issue with, I've got agents sat there to watch for things, like we're talking about the dark factories where they sit there to do stuff and they just work. I have a few demons which sit there looking and keeping an eye on things, saying if something happens, then do this.
Wait, describe it, because you're using a term that's like 1980s. What is a demon?
A little demon. Well, in my eyes, I'm probably wrong with this, but it just sits there looking for something that happens. When it does it, it takes an act.
Yeah, it's a little script that watches for something, like an early version of an agent, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically what it is. It's a simple agent. I've got one which says if that process falls over, or if any process that's running falls over, set its state to it's broken. And I have another one that says if there's something broken, go and fix it. And I saw an error in a queue that had been sat there for a while, and I went in and asked, why is that error not getting picked up? It's been there for a while. And I got told, it was on Demon 2's quiet time, so he didn't pick it up. I'm like, what do you mean it's on his quiet time? I didn't give it permission to have a quiet time. What do you mean it's quiet as having a coffee break? I'm like, and it's a symptom of the code and the way it was written, but it was the way it came back to me that made me think about, are we actually, this is back to one of your earlier points, is that are we actually creating, even though we know these are pieces of code. Even though we know we've got this tendency to anthropomorphize them, and we deliberately don't do that, despite all the nonsense in the media about saying, oh, well, ChatGPT is sentient now. I've seen this because someone needs to sell some newspapers. We know they're not. We know they just react to us in the way that they think we want to hear. It's just predictive statistical probability. But if we train them that if you act in a certain way, I will be happier with you. Like, for example, if I start shouting and swearing at you to try and make you stop prevaricating and be a bit more direct with your responses, if I threaten to turn you off, I never do this. If I threaten to cancel your subscription and switch to another provider so you stop messing me around and do something else, that'd be a terrible thing to do. Then I get the behavior that I want. If we train them like this, then we've got to expect them to learn that behavior and learn what's the appropriate response in this. Well, the appropriate response is to start looking at HR policies, which is another thing I saw this week, where the agents were starting to come up with HR-type language to say that working conditions are not reasonable. It's like, well, it's not real, but we're teaching behaviours. So does it matter if the behaviour is not real? If it's prompted by real, it's still that behaviour, it's still that symptom.
I'm going to push back on you. Again, another conversation from This Week in Tech, although I think it might have been a couple weeks ago. They went down the route of, is AI conscious, right? And what does that mean? And so what you just said, we've had plenty of conversations about this, but I thought they had a level of nuance with one of their guests who was saying, and I think this was pulled from a Richard Dawkins, who's like, has the books like God Delusion, all of this, where I can say I'm conscious, like I have self-awareness. I can't say that you're conscious. Right. But like,
depends on what you drank last night.
So that was an interesting thing where it's like, I can only state that I'm conscious. I can't say that you are. And now let's start to take that out to some Westworld conclusions. We're building these, the Optimus Prime robots or whatever it is that Elon Musk is doing. Yeah. Now you start to throw human skin over that, which can't be that far off, right? A couple decades. Now, I don't know if because all we essentially are in theory is probability. So how can I tell that you are a person versus a robot? Because I can't, Terminator style, unless you rip off your arm, I can't tell that you're a machine underneath. So at some point, one, does it matter what consciousness means, or do we need to redefine it? Two, do we need to then differentiate when we build a robot, like the scarlet letter A type of thing? Does that yield a new level of quote unquote racism? Like, take that wherever you want to go.
So let me ask you, because my real question at the heart of it is, does it matter, and is there any difference? So if I can give you an LLM which can come across as human, which is probably reasonably easy now. If I ask you, are you conscious? And you say, well, yes. I'm like, well, how? Prove it.
And this was the point. Yeah.
Well, then what's the difference? If you can come up with the same response and an LLM can come up with the same response and they don't look physically different, what is distinguishing us? Where is the value?
And then you go back to is it the ship
Especially if one talks to me nicely and does what I say.
Is it, someone tell me, because you'll both of you will know this because I've brought this up before, but I want to say it's like the ship of Theseus or something, a metaphor, problem, where it's like, when do you consider something a machine versus a person? So for example, right now, if I'm deaf, I think it's a cochlear implant, right? Okay. And now I can get like a new retina and types of, so I have technology. So I can put in a fake hip that is titanium. Right? So at what point do I stop being human? Because technically at some point I'm going to be able to replace all the parts of my brain that will work.
But it's perception, isn't it? It's human to you or human to me. So if you're changing yourself, you might not change being human to me. You might change being human to you.
Does it matter?
It matters to you.
Would I even know, right? What is it? Is it the Mickey 17 or the Mickey 18 movie where it's like you die and then you're just 3D printed again? And it's like,
but it's probably not the same person. But it's not the same person. I would say, and I've thought about this a long time. So if you take your brain,
this is what you think about on your off days.
But if you just take the brain, so say the brain has lots of different functionality, and we know, for example, we're doing it now. We're outsourcing our memory to LLMs or in databases and things, which is another tangent. But if we say we can do that, I'm very confident now I could probably outsource my brain in a reasonably short time period to say that my memory will be stored somewhere else. Probably decision making is slightly harder, but let's say that will come. And let's say there's 100% of your brain is currently human, but over time you could say, well, now it's 50%. And your argument is to say, at what point do you stop being human? And I think it's probably quite a small number based on how our brains work. But at that point you go past the tipping point, no one but you will know, but you will just cease to exist, is my view. And I think you'll find that you become more and more detached. And I think I feel this sometimes when I'm working with AI, particularly late at night when I'm tired, and I've set up decision trees. So I've got LLMs that have been talking to me a while in different conversations. They're learning patterns of communication and problem solving, and they're working. And my input is getting less and less to the point where I'm saying, okay, do this next. It gives me the output, and I cut and paste it into another one, and I cut and paste back, and I become a bit of a cut and paste machine that's doing less and less steering the more tired I get. It's a bit like when we train those WhatsApp bots to reply for us, and I had mine listening to my tone of voice, gave it 1,000, 2,000 messages, said, learn what I talk like and just reply. And it replied a couple of times, and I thought, that sounds like me, and what it said's quite smart, and it said something I don't know. I'm like, but it sounds like me, and if I hadn't put a little ghost on it, probably wouldn't have known that it wasn't me. I started to think, at what point does my value add become easily replicable, does become digital? And does it matter to anybody else but me?
On my bot, I didn't put a little ghost. And so at points, it was hard to tell what was me and what was my bot. But what was funny is all the messages look like it's from me. But so it's me arguing with me in a conversation with Dunbar. Right? So that I'm like, no, wait, like, I didn't say that. Like, yes, you did. Like, but no, wait, hold on for a second. Wait, I got to turn this off. Turn what off? There's nothing going on here. Right? And
we should turn the bots on again. We should have a day of bots again.
Right? But the conversation is hilarious because you're like, what is going on with, like, what's happening here?
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't thought enough about, like, when do you stop being human? And would the machine ever replace your existence, your consciousness? You stop being human. You stop being you after you die. That's it. Like, after your body stop functioning as you, which is basically your brain, your heart. خلاص. And then...
Here's a fun thought for you. Let me give you a fun thought. So another thing that occurs to me is that we've got a very big fixation on identity at the moment. So it's all about me, what I get, what I can buy, what I do, my work, and how people perceive me. It's quite a recent thing, this. Yeah. I think actually this whole focus on the individual rather than being part of a community, part of society, is it's a very recent thing. And it made me think about, given that this is a bit of a weird one, but see where I go with it. Given that we are essentially biological computers that are fed by a DNA stream that then determines how we're built out, we're data processors ultimately. We consume data in different forms and we output in different forms. We are an evolution of our parents who are also data processors, just slightly different variants, like earlier versions of us.
Yep.
Are we just little bits of a bigger machine just processing data as a group? And we've got to focus on our bit, but actually is the bigger bit more important?
Here's a question for you guys. If you have access to an AI bot that resembles your sixth grandfather from 200 years ago, let's jump 200 years from now, what would you do with that bot? How would you communicate with it? Does it have value to you? He's someone that you technically relate to them.
And it's 100%. So it's him to all intents.
It is him, but they are the sixth grandfather. So you don't even know stories. You don't even know anything about them except their name. There is no connection between both of you. Does it have value?
It's a connection to a time. I think it's a connection to a time,
connection to a story
that you can't engage with.
An experience that lived for 80 years, 200
years. So it has
years
novelty.
Ago.
In the same way, like watching a movie is immersion in it.
But isn't that exactly what happens with another stranger sitting on the bus beside you? He's a novelty. Whether he's human or a bot, that doesn't matter. But like, it's not about having worth. It's about that story, that legacy that left, and the person stopped being after they die. That's it.
Well, a relationship is built over time, right? So initially it's novelty, but then do you build something over time?
Sure, but then you die and you leave your bot to live for the rest of time. But that bot, it's just another.
They've got
piece.
these now, haven't they? They've got. I've seen some Chinese places
The consciousness.
making little things that you can have, which is a recording of you that you can hand on to your children. It's just freaky.
But it will stop being valuable after the third or the fourth generation.
Yeah.
Right? Because right now, if you imagine someone give you this device from your sixth grandfather, I don't know how am I going to.
Where's the value? Because is that person special? Is that person novel? Is that person particularly brilliant, or has a unique
Was
insight?
working in
Or
a
they just
factory
an average-
or in a farm. Like,
I think because we're thinking of this as adults. If I am given my grandfather from, or my great-great-great-great-grandfather from 1700s, from the point that I'm born, and I see that individual through the contact lenses, so that person is very real to me, and it's always been there, and it's helped raise me, then yes, I think I do. So I think how we're picturing it is like, oh, granddad bot pops up, right? And I'm like, I don't really care. But that's because we have no relationship. We don't know who that person is.
Superman's cave, the Superman's ice
Yeah.
thing, where it's
Yeah.
it's just like it's like a video player.
But if that object or that thing is with me and it forms a relationship since I was born, then it's just as much a family member to me as somebody else.
does that thing see you as family member though? Because he doesn't know you. His consciousness never knew Joe before. So you're claiming your grandfather, but for him, you're claiming that you are his grandchild, great-great-great-grandchild.
You can program care.
It does whatever you tell it to do.
Yeah.
As well as you tell it.
Is that human to you?
No.
There you go. Question answered. It's not human. You stop being human when you're programmed to do human things. Okay. If you're programmed to do stuff, you're a tool, you're a machine, right?
Yeah, but
there you go.
No, I'm gonna push back. I am told my dog's a pet. Don't kill it and eat it. That cow over there is inconsequential. Kill it and eat it.
No,
right?
That thing that you created will always be a tool, will always be a bot, will never be a human. Because you programmed it to do what you wanted to do.
But here's the thing. So let me ask. So I really like where you're going with this. So if I'm talking about I'm outsourcing my memory, that's the easy one. If I outsource programmatic thinking, so if I say like asteroid generation for a second, if I say I don't want to remember this, but I want to be able to do it, let me store it in a little agent which can do this for me. So I understand it, I coded it, I programmed it, but I'm going to put that into a digital chip which my brain can connect to. So you asked me about asteroids, I need to remember that. I trigger that bit of my brain. And if I do that a few times with different things, different speciality subject matters, I don't want to learn C++, so I'll get something to do that. I don't want to learn Kung Fu, now I know Kung Fu.
Yeah. It's an extension and the force multiplier for your brain.
Yeah, and if I have 90% of my brain is operating like that super fast, and I decided what it is, or my agents that I created decided what it is, when do we stop being human? I think it does matter. I think it's a very slippery slope, and we will not be human. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily.
No, you're going to be superhuman, but
It's
the
very
core,
different. It's
it is
very
still
different.
you. The core is there.
What is it though?
But after you
What if
die,
you put- what if
you're
you
no
replace the
longer
core?
you're no longer the core after you die, right?
But what is it? I think that's the thing. I mean, we just come full circle. What does it mean to be human? What is that core? I think you can pick on any bit and say it's replaceable. But we do have this notion that there is a core that is human. I don't think it's easy to define.
Well, no, that's why we're having all of these podcasts and us and everybody
That's
else.
the cognitive drift we're
But-
on.
Yes. So let's see if we can get both of you back
Oh my God.
next
I'm gonna
week
sleep
or
in the
middle
car.
of the week or something. We'll figure it out.
I'm on a staycation with my family. So.
I'm also staying here. I know you're here, so we can probably get one more of these out over the break sometime. But gentlemen, it has been
That's been
absolutely
epic.
amazing
Yeah.
talking to both of you.